Now you don't say students.
Hi, people at home, Dave Fosis, project manager in the audience. Welcome to our pre-construction meeting for Congress Street. So this is really a second phase of the construction that started this fall in the Vaughan Mall. This contract is the same contract as the Vaughan Mall. It was always anticipated that we would do this work in the spring. We have an opportunity to start the work in the winter. We're hoping that we don't have such a severe winter that we can't fulfill that promise, but we think that we can get the lion's share of this work done over the course of the winter. So we wanted to have a pre-construction meeting. We are anticipating at this point that we're going to start right after New Year's. January 5th is more or less our start day, unless something's going on that day, but more or less we're planning on starting January 5th. So we have Underwood Engineering here to go through the different aspects of the plan set. But in general, we're planning on doing utility construction over the winter and early spring. We're planning on putting the road and the sidewalks temporarily back together for the summer season. And then we're anticipating that the contractor is going to come back after Labor Day and reconstruct the sidewalks and finish the road and basically restripe the road. So that is kind of our timeline. Dan, if you want to go through the plan sheets, that'd be great. The PowerPoint, and then we can answer questions after that. If anybody online has questions after we get done the presentation, please just raise your hand and we'll get around to you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. What's better for the? Maybe I'll just kind of stay here for the recording for the camera. All right. So as Dave mentioned, I'm Dan Rochette with Underwood Engineers, project manager for the for the city's consultant.
His office is on Vaughan Mall.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, our office is on Vaughan Mall, so we're easy to find. So the point of the presentation tonight is just kind of run through some of the aspects of the work that's going to be taking place. Briefly look at the limits of the work and the scope of the work. Talk a little bit about the anticipated schedule that Dave outlined briefly. And then we'll talk a little bit about the typical impacts. Specifically, we'll try to outline what the different phases of the work might look like and what some of the traffic handling and pedestrian handling might look like through the area as the work is being completed. And then talk a little bit about distribution of public information, and then go through any questions people have at the end. From a project team standpoint, this is obviously a joint effort between the City of Portsmouth, ourselves, and Granese and Sons is the contractor. Same contractor that completed the work on the Vaughan Mall. So some of the key project personnel. Dave DeFosis is the project manager. Eric Fiedler is a city engineer, and Doug Sparks is a utilities foreman. For Underwood Engineers, there's myself, Cole Cherry Rowe, who's sitting here with me. He's the project engineer helping me on the project, and Cheryl Dione, who couldn't be here tonight. She's our resident project representative. She's one of the people that are out on site daily with the contractor while the work is being completed. Her role is not just to oversee that the work is being completed in accordance to the drawings and the specifications, but to also help field questions and issues from abutters and make sure that everything is going as smoothly as we can. And she was also out on Vaughan Mall, so I don't know whoever's here in attendance if they walked through the Vaughan Mall and kind of saw when that was going on, but Cheryl was out there for that as well, so she's well versed with what's going on. For Granese and Sons, Steve Granese is the president, and he's back there. See here, Brian Grenice is listed here as a project manager, but we also have Riley Donovan sitting here with us. He's another one of their project managers that's been working on the job, as well as Brooks Keon. He's the site superintendent, similar to Cheryl. He's on site. I'll say most of the time while the work is being completed. Sometimes he has to go run errands and do other things, but he's another person that you can seek out if there's any issues with the daily ongoing activities. And also similar to Cheryl, he was a superintendent for Vaughan Mall, so he's already well versed with what's going on and the execution of the work. This is just a slide we put in here, just identifying those key people that are out in the field. Again, that's Cheryl and Brooks. If it's something that you feel like obviously needs to be addressed quickly and you can't locate Cheryl in the field, as we noted previously, our office is right there on Vaughan Mall. So you can come seek someone out and hopefully we can get some answers for you. Project limits is Congress Street, essentially between Maplewood Avenue and I guess maybe 100 feet or so uphill.
I'm trying to get rid of the screen share.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're gonna go about 100 feet, I guess, uphill of the Fleet Street intersections to install a couple catch basins and get the work to a point where it's far enough through the intersection so that for when utility work proceeds up into Market Square in the future at some point, we're in a better position to take off with what we've installed and extend further without having to get into the intersection again. The scope of work, it's pretty much a full utility replacement, replacing the existing water main, just kind of highlighted here in blue, just as a representation, replacing the existing sewer system, which is we show here in green, just to kind of show it schematically. We're also replacing the storm, or I guess installing a new stormwater system. Right now, the drainage in that area is combined. So all the catch basins that are currently on Fleet Street all tie into the sewer system. So one of the primary components of this work is to separate the drainage from the sewers. So we're installing a new drainage system through here, which will also extend drain services to the buildings to tie in downspouts that might be coming down from gutters or roof drain systems that are coming out of the foundation. We'll also be reconstructing the roadway, adjusting some of the curb lines a little bit, and then relocating the light poles, the decorative light poles that are there now, and then reconstructing the sidewalk when we're done. Anticipated schedule, as Dave said, the plan is to start on or around January 5th, depending on the weather and other things that might be going on. Could be a little bit of a soft start. Contractor needs to get equipment back out there and get materials and trench boxes and everything kind of set up. So, but activity should start January 5th. We are going to be working through the winter time. We expect that winter will generally be happening continuously on a daily basis. However, if the weather gets too bad, these guys can deal with a decent amount of cold, but once it gets cold enough, the equipment just takes forever to start up and you just lose any efficiency that's possible. So if it's super cold, there might be a couple day hiatus. So during the winter, the goal is to get all the utilities installed. I'll say get as much of the roadway reconstructed and rebuilt as possible. And then temporarily restoring all the sidewalks that get impacted. We are doing a summer shutdown to not be out there and disturbing everything during the summer season. Right now, the plan is to stop work on or around June 15th, and then at that time, as we noted, the sidewalks will be restored. The site will be generally cleaned up. May consolidate some things on the Vaughan Mall like you see now, but generally everything will be picked up and cleaned for the summer season. And we will resume work after Labor Day. So again, on or around September 8th, And at that time, it will be to finish any final roadway work that needs to happen and reconstruct the sidewalks. And if everything goes to plan and we have a good season of work, by mid-December, we should be completely done the project.
And the primary driver for this is this allows this winter work, we typically don't do it, but it allows us to not have the contractor continue to do work in the following season. So the thought is there's a benefit, there's disruption in the winter, there's some challenges with doing winter work, but it potentially saves them from coming in and doing spring work of the following year. So I think that's a benefit to the city. It's not something, there's obviously those interplay, there's gonna be snow, there's gonna be winter operations and stuff. So, I mean, we don't take these type of things lightly, but we think there's a real community benefit of like not extending the duration of this construction, another season type thing.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we're doing it earlier than we typically would do, but
So typical impacts, anyone that's been walking around downtown, obviously you've already seen the Vaughn Mall get torn up. Construction is a messy endeavor. But similar to Vaughn Mall, we're gonna keep access to all the businesses throughout the course of the work. You saw us using the barricades on Vaughn Mall to help with that. There will be a loss of select street parking during some of I think the street parking right now, it's only kind of in front of where like Cheese Louise, I think, and the cannoli place. I think that parking will probably generally go away to help with the loading zones and just accommodate work zones and whatnot. Noise, there is noise during working hours. Generally 7 to 4 during the day. I think Grenice usually likes to wrap up a little earlier than 4 o'clock, but 7 to 4. And sometimes it may even go later if there's a crucial sequencing item that needs to happen. You might see the guys out there till 6 or 7 o'clock at night just to get one piece, one specific piece done.
if those things happen though, there's notices. We'd make sure we get that out in front of everyone so they understand like that there will be noise impacts or other things. And if there's something that has to be overnight, I think we obviously do coordination with that as well.
Yeah.
Just like the last week or something like that, we did some water shutdowns and we did some enabling work. So I think that's the thought is we get in front of it first. It wouldn't just be work late randomly type thing. So.
And then there will be some water service interruptions. I think the work we did last week at the Fleet Street intersection to install some valves will help reduce the water shutdowns and help us with that sequencing. But if there is any scheduled shutdown that needs to happen for a tie-in, there is a notification process for that. I think it's two business days in advance, and then also if there's restaurants impacted, obviously we make sure the restaurants are accommodated and work around their schedules as well. So, and then so the plan is to put the project area on a temporary water system. We did the same thing on Vaughn Mall, so that there'll be some short interruptions when we implement the temporary water to tie people onto the temporary water system. And then there'll be short interruptions when the new water system's ready to connect. And we just transfer over from the temp water to the new water. And those will be coordinated in advance too, to make sure that it's all timed appropriately so that businesses are impacted the least amount possible. So these are some schematics that we put together to help kind of depict what's going on here. For the people in here in the room, we did put these up on the wall if you want to take a look at them. Generally, the green areas are a maintained travel lane. The idea is essentially to take up half of the road or so with the work zone for trucks and equipment, and then leave at least one lane moving through the work zone. I guess as much as we can, there are a few situations where we will have to close Congress Street to do some crossings. And we have some detour schematics that'll show on that. So we have multiple phases here. This is kind of phase one, is just getting the utility the sewer and drain work started on Congress Street, heading towards between Vaughan Mall and Maplewood. And also completing the crossing to, we have to cross Vaughan Mall with the new sewer system. The pink area is the pedestrian corridors. And we tried to show accessible crosswalks here and crosswalks that may be impacted during the construction. And the blue area is an anticipated or potential loading zone to help maintain that for people that have deliveries coming in, like they do now.
And similar to the Vaughan Mall stuff is keeping a protected pedestrian zone on either side to keep people progressing to the businesses. The same situation. I think it worked okay. I think there were people that were able to get through Vaughan Mall. It's construction, but I think that Underwood revised the design and working with Greece to try to keep the utilities and like keep those pedestrian access zones open as much as possible during construction. So I think that they did a good job on moving things.
There'll be a hard barrier there, because that's
I
like,
think it's the same orange
The
barrier.
orange barrier, yeah.
like Daywalk Central there, so I just.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
did it work okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. I just
They
like,
won't be able to.
everyone crosses the street willy-nilly there, so I just
Yeah,
want
we're
to make
gonna
sure
have to
that they're not
restrict
doing
that
that,
a
right? Again,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have to it's just not safe to just walk across. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
defining those and making sure we have enough either flaggers and other things just to define those.
And the plan is to have the same group of flaggers that we had on Vaughan Mall, who were previously in Portsmouth in town working on Islington Street. They were some of the better flaggers from that project. We brought them in for Vaughan Malls. We requested them to be here, and then they're gonna be that same group for the Congress Street work. So they're also familiar with the ins and outs of what's been going on, and they should be able to be helpful.
Saying, the difference between the two sides of the sidewalk, like one is not really gonna be touched so much.
Yeah, so you'll see that in the slides. I just,
I can win this one.
so I think you're doing a good job. I just want to touch on a couple of things that the utilities under the street are literally 140 years old. So they are at the end of their useful life. And the second part of that statement is that because Congress Street and Fleet, but mostly Congress Street is combined. What does that mean? It means when it rains out, all the water that flows onto the rooftops, all the water that flows onto the street, all the water that flows onto the sidewalks, all goes into the sewer system. So the main purpose of this project, besides replacing the 140-year-old water main and the sewer lines that are ready to give way, is to install a drainage system for the downtown, for this whole area of the downtown. So this project has been broken up into multiple different manageable size pieces so that we can surgically kind of come in and go out, and come in and go out, and do manageable size pieces that we can build and then extract ourselves during the busy seasons. So this has kind of been engineered and set up for that. So what you're seeing in this first slide, for instance, is the way you install utilities, generally speaking, is you install them uphill. So the Vaughan Mall was done first because it's downhill of Congress Street. So a lot of us probably don't realize that. You don't look at the Vaughan Mall and say, oh, it's downhill all the way to Hanover Street. But that's the way, if you're an engineer, that's the way you think. So we started at Hanover Street because Hanover Street got rebuilt during urban renewal. And that stuff's good. The pipes are big enough down at Hanover Street. So we worked through the Vaughan Mall. We had to make the drain pipe bigger. We had to replace the sewer, and we had to replace the water main. Now we're out to the interface. You see where we stopped at the end of the Vaughan Mall because we knew this was coming up. So basically in this first slide, this is kind of the first thing we're gonna do, is we're gonna run drain and sewer up in front of the Worth Building. And get that built, and then we'll jump across the street. You'll see that in a future slide. The important thing to note here is that almost all the pipes that we're replacing are under the paved surface. That's gonna allow us to keep the sidewalks almost, not totally, but almost intact throughout the whole mission. So that's gonna really help with businesses and getting people to get through to the stores. So we'll use the Yodocs, the orange barricades. We'll have those set up on the curb lines. And we'll make sure that the flaggers are moving around the pedestrians like they did in the Vaughn Mall. They did a great job. So we have the same business open signs that we made. I have all those saved. We're gonna be setting all that stuff up. And really, it's kind of like, this is kind of like the Vaughn Mall, but, it's a little bigger. So, when they did, sorry, my thoughts are a little mixed. So when we did the Vaughn Mall, one of the things we did is in 3 of the different buildings, we actually cored holes in the basements. We ran drain pipes in the basement so that the roof drains could be separated. 2 of the buildings are already done. So we're going through, besides the street work, we're actually gonna be signing MOUs with building owners so that we can actually put these drain laterals into the buildings so we can start separating the roofs. A lot of these buildings have combined flows, like we were in one of the buildings, I was talking, I'm not gonna say out loud who it is, but one of the buildings actually had a sewer backup 2 weeks ago because we had a rain event. And the roof drains are, when they mix with the sewer inside the building, there's not enough plumbing capacity because of the pipes outside are giving way, that we're having severe issues. So this is gonna significantly help the building owners. It's gonna significantly separate this entire area from downtown so that the sewer operates properly for the next 140 years. So Dan's gonna go through kind of the iterative slides where we can go to, this is phase 2. So this is showing,
Continuation of the utility work and then this temporary water.
temporary water. Okay, so, the reason why, actually on this slide, as you're the downside of Congress Street, and this is the arch right here. Okay, this is the music hall. So the downside of the water main, a 140-year-old water main is in the way. It's in the way to do sewer separation on the other side of Congress Street. So literally, we couldn't keep the water main if we wanted to. It's in the way. So as soon as we get our feet wet putting in this sewer and drain line, then it's gonna be time to put in that temporary water line. And the reason why that has to get done is because we can't build any of the other utilities until we're on temporary water. So the contractor will put in a robust water system, we'll test it, chlorinate it, make sure it's good. That'll be buried probably 3 feet down so that it doesn't freeze. And then we'll be systematically putting all the different buildings on that water system so that we can then remove the old water main so we can get the sewer lines across. So the sewer, this slide's actually showing the sewer. One of the hardest parts of this project is the sewer that is in front of from the Macintosh building up to the arch on that side of the street. The sewer is actually under the sidewalk. So that's the only area really that we're gonna be impacting the sidewalk is when we're putting in this sewer line here that's shown on this black line. And the reason why the sewer is there is because telephone lines. So there are telephone lines everywhere under Congress Street. They're because the the original telephone building was where La Coretta is. And then they moved the telephone building onto the Islington Street area, right? So they had to combine both buildings. And when they did that, and all the telephone lines go into Main, go down Congress Street, then Daniel Street, and then they go out at Harbor Place. But so the entire left lane of Congress Street is all telephone lines. So there was really no place left to put the sewer except under the sidewalk. The other reason is that the Franklin building's already done. We did that when we did the Vaughn Mall. So there's no sewer laterals or anything. There's no sewer users on this side of the street. They're all on this side. These 5 buildings need sewer. So it's actually a good thing that the sewer's on that side of the street because it's actually easier. Everybody that needs the sewer is gonna be directly adjacent to where the sewer is. So that needs to be choreographed very well. We're gonna use the Yodocs. We have just enough room. We worked with Underwood and Grenice to kind of shimmy that sewer over so that we can make sure that we keep shops open that are on that side, that we have enough room for pedestrians to get through while we're building the sewer. And we actually shifted that sewer over just a little bit, so it's gonna be almost directly up against the telephone lines, but we think we can make it work. So really, the only part of this whole winter construction that's under a sidewalk is this one block. Everything else is, and all these other slides are showing iterations where we're moving traffic. You're gonna be driving on the right side of the road, you're gonna be driving on the left side of the road, or you're gonna be driving down the middle, they're gonna be working on the edges. But basically, here's the daily kind of soup to nuts. The sidewalks are open and we have one lane of traffic going. And yes, there's a couple of days where we're gonna have to cross the road and there's really gonna be no way to put traffic, so we'll detour traffic down Fleet Street. And there's a couple of days where there are, because all these services go into the buildings, right? There's a spot in front of every building where we have to connect the water, the sewer, and the storm drain. So there'll be a day or two each building where that one little section of sidewalk is closed because there's a hole there. But generally speaking, as we do daily work, sidewalk's gonna be open and we'll get traffic down the road. The only other thought that I had mainly is, so we're really starting up here, so we'll be spending kind of January in front of the Worth Building. And then we'll be crossing the road over here by the arch is right here, we'll be crossing the road. And then we'll be working on this sewer system that's coming up toward Fleet Street. That'll be kind of February work. And then we'll start putting in the water main. And then we'll probably get into the Fleet Street intersection, which is challenging, but not impossible. We'll get it done. I have a lot of faith in the contractor. They did a great job in the Vaughan Mall. So next slide.
So this one was just kind of, this would be kind of showing the water main work, just keeping the, the whole work zone is on the Worth Building side. Pretty similar to the last slides. This slide here starts looking at the Fleet Street intersection. The intent is to try to do the intersection in halves, so disrupt one half of the intersection and keep
Traffic on the right and then traffic will be on the left.
Yep.
right?
Yep, and then while work is going on in the intersection here, it's likely that this block of Fleet Street would be detoured or closed. Because we'll be in the middle of the intersection. And then I'll show, we have some detour schematics for that. And then similarly, move on, once one side of this intersection is done, move over to the other side and get that side of the intersection done. The intersection work will take a little bit of time. There's a lot going on in there. All the conduits, the existing gas mains, all that, we have to work around all that. So there's a lot of slow work, a lot of slow excavation to do through there. So this is a schematic here of the potential detour path for when we close Congress Street. Again, that would probably be limited duration closures, a day or two at a time during the working hours. So the plan would be to detour the traffic down Fleet Street over to Hanover and then work the way either down Maplewood in that direction or over to Islington Street or Middle Street. And then for the first half of the intersection, I guess working on the southerly half of the intersection, we would close Fleet Street at State Street, still allowing local traffic to get into Porter Street, and I think there's a couple banks through there. Still allowing access through there, but closing it at State Street for through traffic. And then that detour traffic would just proceed down State Street over to Pleasant Street and then down Congress. The other block of Fleet Street would remain two-way. And then just kind of when the mirror situation happens, when we're on the northerly side of the intersection, we would close Fleet Street to through traffic, I guess, at Hanover Street, but still allowing access to the businesses, the parking garage, all of that in there. And then traffic would just continue on Hanover Street to Market Street and then down Congress. Temporary water, we talked about a little bit already. Pedestrian accommodations, we've talked about that, but this is just kind of more pictures of the barricades here. Business accommodations, we've talked about that a little bit already, using the signs, maintaining access, flaggers helping people get around. Distribution of public information. So I mentioned that we'll have the field personnel out there. If there's anything urgent that people need to know, emergency things that happened that resulted in an unknown shutdown, then those field personnel will go around and knock door to door to let people know. If needed, we'll put up message boards, the variable message boards to help motorists navigate any closures. We've been providing weekly updates to the city, just kind of describing the proposed work, and those updates get posted to the city website. I believe they get emailed as well to an email distribution list.
And there's some sign up sheets over here. If you want to be added to the list for Congress Street, please sign
Yeah,
up.
and those weekly updates, those are gonna include kind of the traffic patterns, so like this sidewalk's open, this is gonna be closed, or tentative schedules for those type of things. Cause that's the thing, is the emphasis is trying to make sure pedestrians can get through safely, and everyone's aware of sort of any impacts.
Obviously, there's a lot to squeeze in.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't expect you to memorize all these things, but as we progress through the job over the course of the winter, we need one picture, then the next picture, then the next picture, so that people know kind of what to expect. The job's gonna happen very linearly, and it'll be very predictable what's gonna happen next.
And then for any scheduled interruptions, and there's hand delivered notices that get distributed. And
And luckily, because of the water main work that we were able to do last week in the snowstorm, water interruption should be minimal. Because what we did last week was we cut in valves, we cut in and replaced the 140-year-old valves so that they would actually work. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I'm sure you guys have questions. We can try to answer any questions you got, but we know that you need deliveries. We're planning on having, a delivery area somewhere in that work zone at all times, because we know it has to be. In general, you won't be able to park on the road. We're not gonna have room to park and run traffic and have, it's just not gonna happen. So plan on the parking spaces being gone for the balance of the utility work. And then the hours of work. Keep in mind that Grenice works from, generally speaking, from 7 to 3:30, 4 o'clock. But they do not work at night, right? So after 3:30, and we'll start getting more and more daylight as the job progresses. They're not there on the weekend. We'll clean up the mess so that life can go on while we're not there, because we understand that life has to go on. We get that. We're very cognizant that all the businesses need to stay open. We understand that. We've hand selected these flaggers. They're great. And they are very good with people, which is why I brought them from his industry. So, we understand all those things. If Cheryl will be on site every day. If you can't find Cheryl, call me. My cell phone number is on that presentation. I have business cards here for anybody who doesn't actually have my number in their phone, which is very few people at this point. I've been here a long time. But if you need something, if something's happening and we're unaware of it, please call and we will deal with it. Okay? So let's start questions, and keep in mind, hi, Joe. We'll start with the hand that's raised. Joe, allowing you to talk.
Hey, how's it going? Joe Linehan from Tinius Hospitality Group. I realize that most of the construction is south of Fleet Street. We're at Popovers on the square. Will there be
Yeah.
any interruptions north of Fleet Street with water, septic, or anything like that? Sewer, excuse me.
Should be de minimis if there's anything.
Okay, great. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, the water valves basically solve that.
Meredith?
Okay, for
Should
those
I-
of us who'd like to get on the list for updates who are virtual, how would you like us to do that?
So there's now a project page on the website for Congress Street. It's under DPW. And right at the top of that page, there's a sign up form. To just.
So look for
that's what I
Congress
did.
Street under the DPW page.
Could you
There's
put
a
in,
sign in there.
could you put it in the chat on there and we could write it down too, just in case? Okay.
Chat right now, we'll get it in.
And we're gonna.
Happy to do so. Thank you.
And we're gonna upload the drawings, the project drawings, which Dan is still updating because again, we worked with Denise to update the drawings. So the plan set that we had originally is no longer exactly what we're building. But we need to upload a set of utility plans and we should definitely upload the final layout plans in that so that people can see like what we're building for this spring and what we're building in the fall. That's what I'd like out of you, please. Get a couple of PDFs.
Yeah, and those plans won't include any improvements to the crossing on Congress there between the Von Mall and the Arch. That won't be included in this plan set, correct?
It is,
That's part of, or is it part of the Von Mall restoration or is it part of this project?
it's part of this project.
Okay, so there'll be some improvements to that crossing. I think we're going for I don't know, do we have a schedule for that for the next public meeting?
For the Von Mall,
Yeah, and then the crossing stuff. I think we're gonna discuss it
we're
there.
thinking it's gonna be probably January, February. It's not scheduled yet.
But there's gonna be, where the plan is to have a raised crossing between that to kind of connect those across Congress. So there's some stormwater stuff that's still in flux, I think. I don't know, are you putting those?
We have to vet that through
Yes,
traffic safety before
correct.
we can commit to that.
sure. Good point. But
I
Yeah.
have two questions, I think. Ignore. The finished product that is going down by Congress for Jimmy's and Jumpin' Jay's, will that roadway at the end of the project be the road diet that's been discussed down?
Yes,
Okay,
that's approved at this point.
okay, that's what
So so specifically, the Jimmy's Worth Building side stays the same.
it's the other side.
The sidewalk that's there stays just the way it is. Light poles are in the same spot, everything's the same. The only thing we're doing is changing the bricks out. The other side of the road shifts out about 3 feet.
Okay.
The lanes get wide so that the truck trailers can stop driving over the sidewalks and the pedestrians. And when the sidewalk tractors can stop driving through plate glass windows. It's getting expensive. So that's the plan.
My second question was about the sidewalk that does have to be interrupted, and there was those moments where there would need to be closed because of that final connection. Is there any chance that work can be done overnight? So that we're not disrupting the.
No,
business
it's almost
during the day?
impossible to do overnight work in the wintertime. But it'll only be isolated to one spot while they connect to that building. And with the flaggers, we'll know how to get people from one side to the other.
Yeah, that's what we did in the alley there, commercial alleys. If you can't get in one way, there's
And again,
gonna be flaggers to get you in.
those days are the exception, not the rule as far as.
No, I understand.
They're,
So-
they're almost,
Period.
right, they're one day hits, really. Hi.
The barriers on the sidewalk, are the plans to keep the barriers there overnight when there's no work committed?
Yes, they'll be
or-
set up, so when they're working in that area, they'll set them up. When remember what I said, they're gonna start by the Worth Building? Once they're done that area, I'll pull those barriers out of that area as we're working on the other end, going toward Fleet Street, because the barriers won't be necessary because they're not working there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they'll only be really containing the people on the sidewalk where we're actively working.
Gotcha. Is there any possibility to remove sections of those barriers when there's no overnight? So then deliveries for pickup for to-goes for Flatbread the Goat, Jimmy's, Jay's, and elderly drop-offs for those restaurants? Are there any availability to remove certain
We might
barricades?
take some teeth out of the barricades. If we think that's gonna help. If we think it's gonna hinder what we're trying to do with traffic, then we might not. But, so that'll be up to, and it'd be a field decision.
So if you.
Sophie? Hi, Sophie.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm with Jane G on Congress Street, and we do services for nails and skincare from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. So my biggest question is when the water is going to be shut off, like how long you anticipate that being, you know, when it's going from and to the temporary water, I suppose. Just
Building, Sophie, remind me.
sorry, what did you say?
You're in the Worth building?
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
You're gonna lose water. Your water's already done.
Oh, okay, great.
It was easy.
Buildings, what would be the time period?
So generally speaking, we work with the businesses so that restaurant, we wouldn't shut off the water in the middle of the day. We wouldn't do that. We would do it first thing in the morning before the prep cooks come in, or we would do it at the end of the day. Generally speaking, because it's winter work, we would probably come in and get it done by like 9 o'clock so the prep cook can happen well before lunchtime.
They were really good on Bon Mall and started early some days to make sure they were out of the way.
Yeah, like we did the Worth building that way. Sophie didn't even know that we did it because she wasn't there yet. We were already done.
My last question, this is like a little detail, the trash, like the trash pickup for those places that usually gets thrown on the front.
Maintained, yeah, we work around the contractor and get in there. It's Monday nights and then Tuesday mornings, so,
I figured you.
yeah, we'll get it done.
And the only coordination item is, like, you know, snowstorms and stuff like that. So Grenice is gonna clear in, you know, in the work zones, but you know, there's that interface between like city stuff and the contractor responsibility. So if there's issues and there's something, so please let us know and we'll work, you know, to try to make sure that's resolved.
Communicate with us, we'll communicate with you, and we will get this through. We'll get it done.
Have you maintained 11-foot lanes for that 3 to 2 reduction as approved by Barclay Traffic Safety?
I think they're wider than that. They're,
It'll be striped.
because they have shoulders.
Lanes.
Right,
It'll be
they're
striped as
striped at 11 feet, but they're actually wider so that they can accommodate tractor trailer movements. Okay, great. We'll see you in January. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your time. Anybody wants a business card, they're right here.
No, it's great because
The next year.
done now.
Yeah.
That's